everybody. Welcome to TL's Roadhouse. Good to be back with you. My buddy Brantley Gilbert is in the house. Got a brand new album. We're going to talk about all those things, the tour he's on right now. Going to have a great conversation. Y'all hang with us. It goes just like this. What's up, brother?
Come on, baby. What you doing?
Man, I am living a dream, son.
I heard that.
Working my tail off. It's been a busy year for me. I don't know if it's been that way for everybody. We've been working our ass off, dude.
Dude, I feel like every year my career gets busier.
And I said that I was going to slow down, but I just don't see it happening. I don't know why. It's like, you try to back off and you turn this down, you turn that down, and then they come back with this, and they come back with that. It's like, crap, man, I can't turn it down. And you only turn it down so many times before it's just stupid.
Dude, if you're anything like me, last year was supposed to be my year to slow down. I was like, we got 3 kids. We started late, and then came about time for us to actually do the winding down, and I was like, I don't know how to do nothing else.
Yeah. And you just kind of, you don't get on that grind, and it's like, you slow down, and I can do it for a short period of time, and then I get stir crazy. I got to go back to work. I just can't
want
do
holes in the floor.
Yeah, it drives me absolutely insane. 11-year anniversary this year.
Let's go.
Congratulations, man.
Thank
That's
you,
awesome.
brother.
In this business, that is a major accomplishment, brother.
Well,
Sure
I
is.
told you I got 3 fears in life. It's snakes, sharks, and my wife, in the reverse order.
I understand. It's I don't know how your kids deal with all this. What's the age of your children now?
8, 6, and 1.
Yeah, so
1.5.
they still don't really grasp all the nuances of what's going on around them. I know my children struggle with it. It's a hard thing to balance, and I had to realize it took me a long time to get my brain wrapped around the fact that my dream and the things that I think and thought were so important are not the dreams and the desires of my children.
Yeah, how tough is that?
It's a really tough thing because, I always thought, boy, if I would have had me as a dad, how cool would this have been to grow up like this? Man, that ain't the way they see this stuff at all.
Yeah. Flip side of the coin.
It really is, man. Have you navigating any of those waters yet with the kids? Are they still just, 8 years old, they still don't really grasp all of it yet.
No, for the longest time. So a buddy of mine, I'll never forget, my kids we got ready to go on a duck trip, and he had one little girl, one kid in high school, one little girl in middle school, and his youngest still elementary school. And man, they all brought him to leave on the bus. We were only gone for 3 days, and it was waterworks. They were all crying. Meanwhile, my kids when you coming back? It was just a week, 2 weeks, what do we do? Never cried. Well, now my oldest is a daddy's boy, and he's starting to understand that, what that means, and he starts noticing when I'm not there. And he's kind of, we're in a little spot with him. He's kind of, the last couple weeks, man, he got where he thought he could backtalk my wife and raised his voice to her. So right before I left, we had a little come to Jesus in the kitchen. I said, hey, man, you need to understand something. That may be your mom, but that's my wife. And there ain't no man on this planet talking to my wife like that, including you. Because if it's any other man on this planet, I'd knock their ass out cold. So you need to figure out what that looks like for you. He just, yes, sir. You get the whisper, yes, sir. He's like, man, that's my ass right there.
But they need to know those boundaries, man. It's important for kids to grow up respecting women and respecting the role of what their mother is and establishing that's very important. I don't think enough families do that in this day and age, man.
No, and with us too, man, we're gone for 3 or 4 days. So we get to come home and they're happy to see us. Yeah. And meanwhile, mom's been in the trenches for 3, 4 days.
And I don't know if you've been through this, but I remember it's been years ago. We kind of worked past this, but the point in the around 2007, 8, 9, 10, in the early the 2010, 11, somewhere around in that area. I had several publishing companies, running a couple of independent labels. I was still touring 100 days a year, and I was in and out. And I would come home just freaking tears, just wound up tight all the time. My wife finally, she got me like this. She said, I don't work for you. You have got to stop. When you come in, you change the dynamic of everything in this house. I got this. Let me do my job. You can't come in and change what I do. That was a reality waking up for me, man.
Yeah, much respect too for her.
Oh yeah.
If she's anything like mine, they're some of the only people capable.
We gotta have strong women.
100%.
Have to have a strong woman.
100%.
Because this lifestyle is very demanding, and it takes the collaboration of the two of you to navigate all this stuff. It's very important that
sure.
you're on the same page.
Yeah. You're not a team, man. They'll run all over you. And kids are smart.
Oh boy, and they know how to manipulate.
100%.
Oh boy, they're like a cutting dog, man. You know, they'll come in and they'll do this over here and this over here, and before you realize what's going on, they got a big old wedge right in between you.
100%.
They're smart, boy.
Mine came out and said it the other day. We were leaving my brother's house, and they wanted one of my nephews to come over, and he was whining, and I was like, "Hey man, we don't whine to get our way. That's not a thing we do." He was like, "But that's how I get what I want." And I was like, "Oh, you just dry snitched on yourself, bro. Like that's over now. 110%. That's the end of that." Like,
What was your dynamic like with your family when you were growing up, man? What was your mom and dad like? How was the dynamic?
they met at Bible college.
Really?
But yeah, so I was raised in church pretty heavy.
What denomination?
Non-denominational.
Okay.
And we do like everybody. We were Baptist for about a year.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, man, that kind of in the church every time the doors were open to the point where I kind of got burnt on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But my parents not share too much with the world, but my parents probably should have got divorced long before they did. So my nan and papa, my grandparents were like kind of my papa was the dude that hung the moon to me. I have a lot of respect for my dad. Now I went through a little phase where my dad and I were kind of oil and water. But seeing both sides of the story now that I have kids and now that I am in a marriage and seeing being married is the best thing I ever did. It's also one of the hardest things I've ever done. And being a dad's the best job I've ever had. But it's also the scariest job I've ever had. So it's like, I found some respect for him through the years, but my papa and my grandpa were always the kind of man that hung the moon figures in my life. They talk about discipline, man. My granddad in Indiana was the first person to ever hard check me. I was super young. I back talked my mom, and that like a closed fist hit me and put me on my back and stood over me with his oxygen mask on. Was like, "You don't back talk your mom." I remember laying there being like, "Damn, dude, you could have, really? In the throat? Just knocked me out cold, man." Starts me.
Things were definitely different back then, man.
100%.
The dynamic of the world has changed a lot, and I think we've got a generation that really doesn't have a grasp on let me see if I can find the way. What I perceive is that they don't know how to overcome challenges and adversity in life. They've been coddled way too much. Participation trophies and all the things that come along with it. You're laying a foundation of sand. They don't have any resilience or any strength to overcome things as they get older. I mean, those are things you got to, you just throw us out of the house. Don't come home till it's dark. You wreck your bicycle and bust your knee and you get a little blood, rub some dirt on. I mean, that's the way it was. Toughen up, get on with it.
And that's how we're raising our kids. And I tell you, dude, I tell people this. It's kind of I say something like this during the show. It's like, we're real quick to get on this generation, right? But it's ours and the one below it that are responsible for it. Like, if you want to see changes in that generation, we have to be the change. And for me as a dad, that's tough. Because I know him back talking to his mom and arguing his mom's because he thinks I hung the moon and he seen me do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it really checked me. Like, man, I really need to address the way, and I don't think I don't know that I agree with the hide from your kids to have a disagreement. I just need to look at the way I'm disagreeing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's obviously not a good example for him, and that showed me in real time. But it's like, man, I'll be on my kids. I'm fuss at them about being phone vultures. They only get so much screen time a day. And when somebody's phone comes on, before you know it, they're right over your shoulder and just starve for it almost. So, there's a balance between that. It's like, that's the future. That's where everything's headed.
Oh my gosh, it is.
But at the same time, we turned out all right, and we spent sun up to sundown, like you said, out in the woods.
I just think we learned to navigate things differently because we were given the freedom to go out and explore and do things and fall down and scuff your knees up, a broken arm here and there, and all the little things that go along with it. I I see a lot of stuff on social media about young people that are exploding into rage and violence at the drop of nothing, that they just can't handle if something's not exactly the way that they want it to be, and they think that the way that they deal with it is by violence or getting out of control. That's the thing that concerns me the most that I see.
I think in a way some of these little boys are starved for it. You're supposed to scuffle.
Absolutely.
You're supposed to fight. You're supposed to,
That's right.
you know what I mean? That's life, man. And, but if you have these people, like a lot of times, some of our family friends will look at me a little crooked if they get aggravated with each other and it's no more wrestling and they're kind of being a little more aggressive. I'm not breaking that up. I figured it out.
Yeah.
Get it out of your system, stand up, shake his hand. It's all good.
Yeah. Tomorrow's a new day.
Live to fight again.
That's
Everybody wants to go to the truck now. You're talking about these people erupted in violence and doing crazy stuff. Man, I don't know about you. When I was in high school, we still had our guns in the rack.
Oh, us too. We got the opening day of deer season off. I mean, it was no big deal.
100%.
Everybody had a pocket knife in their pocket when you came to school.
And if you got in a fight and were to pull that, you'd have been the biggest wuss.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally unacceptable.
You'd have been shamed out of the whole school. But it is a different time. And it's, another thing is watching these parents, and it's frustrating to me, but I understand it being a dad now too, to an extent, but trying to be buddy with your kids. Like, I want my kids to think I'm cool, but I have a responsibility to be their dad first.
Absolutely.
And I ask mine on a regular basis, especially when I have to fuss at them, like, what's my job? And my son will tell me, like, to make me a better man than you.
And I didn't have a lot of that figured out. I mean, I'm in a different place now, and I've got two daughters, 23 and 25, and my relationship with both of them is great. But there were times I didn't do a great job. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit it. I mean, it's not easy thing to balance when you're gone all the time, and you're not the constant presence that's there to navigate those waters, and so much of it gets put on your wife. It's not an easy thing to do.
No,
and especially
not for them either.
No, it's not.
Worse.
I've listened to your new record. I was kind of going through and digesting it, and it's so much of the things going on in our lives. See if I'm off on this. As I was listening through the album, I feel like there's two pieces of this. When you hit track 8, the front part of this album, all the way through track 8, is reflective. It's spiritual. It's got a tone to it. As soon as you hit Good Old Boys, the whole thing's like two completely different albums. Mm-hmm. It got more pop. It got more progressive. It got edgier. I mean, was that intentional? Because when I heard track 8, I'm like, why didn't you open the album with that track? But I understood it as I digested it a little bit better.
Yeah, so you're one of the artists, and I know, I've got all your stuff. Like, Texas Tornado, okay, but I mean, man, I've told you this before. I was a huge fan, and knowing from seeing those albums, you care about what order they're in,
Absolutely.
How they go into each other, and how you stack the record. And I'm old school like that. I know that the way people consume music is different, and there's less rules there, right? Yeah. But at the same time, what I wanted to create with this one was a no skip album. You know what I mean? And we've always started the album off with a banger, like the shock value, get your attention, kind of blow you back. I'm going to come back to that one.
Yep.
I wanted to kind of develop a rapport early on this album. Hit you with substance. And also, if you notice, the first song on the album is called The Addiction. Mm-hmm. And even though it's not what you think, the album's The Addiction, and the last song is called Live Forever. So it's like, there's a transition there for sure. But the whole theme is being in a chapter of life that I thought I'd never experience. A lot of people think they make it to 30 for shock value or it's tongue in cheek. Like, legitimately, I knew that was a possibility for me. I think we talked before about some of the people I hung around and some of the stuff I was doing.
And really was okay if we didn't make it. You kind of just resolved it in your mind. I'm not going to live being an old man.
100%.
I did. Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't plan on being anybody's dad or anybody's husband. And it's like, sitting in this chapter of life, I wouldn't take anything honestly, from it, obviously. But, it's looking back and going, man, I didn't live for longevity. And that's what the Live Forever song says. It's like, I always knew I wouldn't die young, because only the good ones do. But the flip side of that coin is I 100% thought I'd at least be incarcerated by 30. You know what I mean? Like, I may still be here, but I'll be under somebody else's watch. But man, it's looking back and knowing that, you know, all of those bad choices and those experiences. This album has a way of looking back and going, man, that was fun. But the flip side of the coin is, how in the hell did we make it through it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, whether it be the addiction or the company I was keeping, you know, I stacked odds against myself for.
I don't know if you do. I've sat in quiet times and ponder on some of this too, and wonder why I made it through and that I'm still here when so many people that I was close to, friends, a lot of them are dead. I do have friends that are incarcerated. You know, there's a lot of destruction in the wake behind me in my life.
100%.
And how did I survive?
Form of survivor's guilt.
Yeah, there is a little bit of that, and I don't know if you feel it. I do.
100%. And it's, man, you know, like we call the album "Sins of the Father" because you hear the term like you pay for your raising.
Yeah.
And being a dad of 3 and 3 young ones, like, I got obsessed with just worry about, man, you know, are my kids going to be haunted by the terrible decisions I made, you know, in that checkered chapter of my life? And, you know, so I went biblical on it. My wife's been dragging my butt to church, and, you know, spoke about 2 main times that I found, probably more, but I don't know the Bible like the back of my hand, but I know in Exodus, it's mentioned, it says that, you know, the children up to the 3rd or 4th generation will pay for the sins of the father, right? And
generational curses.
Yeah. And then Ezekiel, you know, you get, and it says that children will not bear the sins of their father. So before I went to a pastor, got any kind of context or, you know, I wanted to write the song in that space because I feel like that song is where I'm at, not just in fatherhood, but in life and in faith is, you know, I'm not sure about all the things I was sure about at one point in my life. You know, I have an 8 and a 6 and a 1-year-old reminding me every day that I don't really know shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it.
We're starting all over.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I'm in a season of learning at 41 years old and wide open career-wise. And it's, you know, I don't ever want to look at this situation or have people watching this thinking this dude thinks he's got it bad. It's not that at all. But it's, you know, we're all in a season. And this one's been difficult for me to navigate. So it's like, it's a perfect time to write an album.
Yeah, and it's not all about, you know, what is success truly, and it's different to everybody. Some people can put a dollar figure on it, but success is so much more than that, man. And as you get older and you go through this cycle of learning and evolving and growing and changing, whether it's spiritually, professionally, you know, socially, I mean, all these things, you're always evolving and always changing. I just think, you know, none of us have the answers. I'm almost 60 years old, and I still don't have a lot of it figured out, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of us do. But what we are blessed about is that we have a career that we can pour our heart and our soul into, and the passion. We can take all these things that we learn, and we can write about them, and we can put these things back into society. And at some point along the way, maybe we can even make a difference in somebody else's life. I think that's really freaking cool.
I mean, how few and far between are the time, the most rewarding moments, right, as a writer. So when somebody comes to you and say, hey, man, you sang this song or you wrote this song that changed my life, or it helped me through this. Like, it's like begging for change on this album. Joe Jamie from our label said it best. She's like, that song matters. You know, Jelly and I, that's the only feature on the whole album, which, as you know, in this day and age, that's going out on a limb, especially not coming from strength at radio. You know what I mean? We've managed to keep touring solid for 20 years, in spite of not having very many, you know, we got 7 number ones. There's folks though that have 3 times as many number ones we have that can't sell out our pit.
Yep.
So, you know, I feel like we built something special over 20 years, and I don't say I or me often because, man, I mean, you know how it is. There's a group of people around you that have sweat equity and helped you build things like that. And then there's guys like you and Toby that I came up, played shows with, looked up to and respected, that kind of laid out the template of how to do it right. You know what I mean? And thank God for you guys, because, man, you know, everybody's kind of up in arms. And I was one of those, too, that when you see these kids kind of come from one song on TikTok and blow up and they're here, It's like, man, that kind of sucks because coming up the old way, playing that bar with 10 people you don't know in it that have never heard of you, until you go to the next size bar, and eventually, man, you get to a club in a town, you've really done something. Like, it kind of sucked at first, but then, on the flip side of the coin is they're at a major disadvantage. Because, I'm sure you came up the old way playing little joints and stuff, bro.
Since I was young.
Yeah, and learning how to communicate with the 10 people in there and win them over by the end of 90 minutes or, back in
or
the
4 or 5
hours.
sets a night, 45-minute sets, 4 or 5 of them a night. Yeah.
110%.
Yeah.
I mean, but it teaches you, invaluable lessons about communicating with people and, reading a crowd.
Reading the room and learning to structure a set and learning what things work at different times of the night. The things you play in that 4th or 5th set of the night are completely different than the stuff you played in that opening set. They're 100%. All liquored up by then. I mean, I think, and it was frustrating for me when I see a lot of these kids pop out there that have been playing songs in their bedroom and all of a sudden they're playing arenas. It's like, what the hell happened, man? There's something backward about this whole deal.
And then when you see them going through crisis and things like that, like, makes a ton of sense.
Yep.
It's baptism
we don't have
by
to say
fire.
the name.
You know what I mean? I think I know who you're talking about. I love that kid.
I do too.
But I couldn't imagine not coming up the way we did and just being thrust into that. And it's not a poor, pitiful me situation at all. It's just like, man, looking at it from the inside, right? That's a lot. The Jelly Roll situation, bro, who do you know that broke at 39 years old? You know what I mean? After chopping wood for how many years and then bam. A crap ton of changes in that dude. And you know how it is too when you're hot and everybody's pulling you in a million different directions. Yeah. And, you see these guys start taking heat and it's like, man.
And, you try to be a good person and you're going through growth and changes. And somehow, inevitably, is never enough. There's always going to be the detractors and the haters out there that are going to try to break you down.
100%.
And back to what you were saying about not having a pity party, and I'm not complaining about the things that they have. I'm just trying to put it into perspective where you can see it from the outside, because everything that glitters isn't gold, baby. Those are all these old songs and analogies that you can throw out there. Everything has challenges and demands to it that make life a struggle, but it's not going to change. I don't care who you are or what your job is. I mean, we're all trying to get to the finish line. It's
100%.
It's not easy for anybody. Anybody that says it is full of shit.
110%. And I know from the outside looking in, listen, man, they got all this money, he got it bad. What's he doing? With all kind of artists that have been newer, that have made decisions that have cost them a bunch of hate and stuff. And it's like, man, we know this. We screwed up big time.
Hey, I've been there.
Everybody just didn't have one of these.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear about some of this stuff, like, not to say anybody in particular, but somebody threw a chair off a building and got in a lot of trouble. Like, bro, that was Tuesday at lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so I remember I was playing Church Street Station in Florida, and we'd been, I think, Radney Foster. Radney Foster was on the show that night, and a bunch of us got together. I had a suite with an adjoining room, and we were probably on the 7th or 8th floor. And so a bunch of the crew guys came back. We were playing cards that night, and had a balcony that was right over the swimming pool. Well, the TV in my room did not work, and I was like, "We're gonna throw this TV in that damn swimming pool." And I said, why do I want to ruin a good TV? I'm going to have to pay for the TV. I said, we're going to throw that good TV in. I'll pay for the good, and then they're still going to have to play someone that's bad. So we tossed that sucker off the 7th-story balcony, landed right in the middle of the swimming pool, landed backside, and it popped the screen out and just bubbled down to the bottom. It was beautiful.
That's classic rock star stuff right there. There's something about hotel rooms.
But I paid my bill.
You probably remembered you did too. It's like, why is it hotel rooms?
I don't know.
They're not ours. And it seems like you
because
have
Joe
to
Walsh did it.
100%. I had a guitar player at one point it was kind of an addiction. Like, at a cruise ship one night, he had kind of a drunken meltdown, and they came and got me.
Always cruise ships.
Yeah, bro, I'm not lying to you. They had us in the Leonardo DiCaprio section of the boat. We're down there in the bottom. My head of security's black guy PJ. Storm hit the first night. Water washed over his window. He was done. He never got out of the bed. So, this meltdown happens, and they come get me, and I look out in the hallway, and man, everything that wasn't bolted down in that room, if it's not already in the hall, it's whap and hitting the wall across from his room and falling. I'm like, oh my God, it's inherent. There's a few guys along the way that we really respected that just tore up hotel rooms, and it feels like
it's a rite of passage. Damn right.
What I will say about this too is I do feel like a lot of this, the kids, we see them as kids, right? They're not kids, they're grown men, but to kind of get thrust into this, the competition is different. The process again being seen and discovered is different. We didn't have umpteen million people putting songs out from their bedroom.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the competition's different. The way of being found is different. So in a way, through the years, I've gone from kind of being salty about it to finding respect for it, and almost coming from a place of not sympathy, empathy. Like, man, I get it. It from the inside looking out, it's a good bit different. You get thrust into all this stuff you don't understand, and nobody, this, when you're on the way up, nobody's telling you that there's a plateau and a way down.
But would you really listen anyway?
Hell no.
No, I wouldn't have listened.
No.
I mean, I thought I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof, man. 100%. I was going to do whatever the hell I wanted to do. And somebody was going to get me out of it if I got in too deep and I couldn't get myself out of it.
Exactly.
Because you're a commodity and there's a vested interest in you, and all of a sudden your perspective on things change. And it's real easy to get lost inside that crap, man. It's so easy, until you can dig your way back out and you can find stability in your own life again and realize what's real and what's not, because all that shit in there is not real. It's not.
And I feel like those of us that are wired that way too, because that's part of it. I remember having a conversation about balance with Jelly at one point. It was like, I think the only way to find balance when you're on a heater, right, is to run your motor hot. You got to go till it till it damn near kills you and back up from there. And then that's a moving target. You know what I mean? I wouldn't take anything for what we get to do for a living.
Absolutely
the blessing we have to be able to give back to our community and our country and have a platform that matters and be able to share success with dudes that have been with us for decades. Like, who in a million years? I don't know about you, but man, my goal was to sell out the Georgia Theater. It's 15 minutes from my house. And I still live down there. And that happened early. Somebody asked me the other day if you had a bucket list, or what are some bucket list items for you? And I was like, I've never been a bucket list guy, because hell, if I had one, I'd have checked everything off.
Dude, I went through several years in like the early mid-90s where I physically stopped dreaming. I didn't have a dream for what I felt like years because I thought I didn't have anything left to dream about. Everything that I ever wanted or dreamed about, I had done or was doing.
100%.
I mean, that's a strange thing to find yourself in.
That's a dangerous spot to find yourself in. It's like you wonder where substance abuse and stuff like that comes from. And
absolutely,
when we start getting in trouble, because here's the other thing. Now I'm not broke anymore either.
Access.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got access to everything. You have leverage in spaces. There's not a room you can't be a part of if you don't own it if you want to. You know what I mean? It's like it's just a different thing, but. Man, and you also in there, it's, we're not people inherently, the kind of personality it takes and the kind of man it takes or the woman it takes to chase stuff like this. Like, complacence is not really in most of our vocabulary.
No, we're definitely aggressive type A personalities, or you couldn't be successful in this business.
So it's like when you can't find the goal and what the next thing is, and you've exceeded your own expectations in yourself, like that's a really dangerous spot.
I mean, like, look what it did to Howard Hughes. I mean, there's a list of people that can go to the extreme that find themselves, and we're nowhere near at a place like what he was. Or can you imagine, how does Elon Musk continue to motivate himself? I mean,
wow. Well, I mean, that dude's just different.
It's a whole nother level. But I mean, it's just really difficult when you have access and you can do so many things to find ways to continue to motivate yourself and challenge yourself in life and to keep your integrity intact and still be a good contributing functioning member of society and leave and set that tone and example for people. You can sure get lost in it real easy. I remember and I haven't been around Jelly a lot, but last time I think I was around him, I said, it's got to be real difficult when you find your hopelessness is what my conversation was with him. I can't imagine what it must be like being in jail and being there at a place where you absolutely feel completely hopeless about your life and where you're going, and to be able to climb out of that and do what he's done is absolutely phenomenal.
It's insane. I have a ton of respect for that.
So many people could not do that.
No, God, no.
That's a sheer will.
Well, it's also a system that's created to be recurrent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to make a solid decision and not go back in that direction. This guy's like him in struggle. And even Adam Calhoun's another one that's like, man, you somewhere along the line, he had to make a decision to live in another direction.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we have to do as
and
addicts
it's not
too,
just
right?
about making that change for yourself. When you make that kind of change, that means separating yourself from a whole lot of people that you've been with for a long time. Because you can't make that change and still hang out with the same people. You can't.
Over the last few years, man, I really looked at the people around me. And if you come to the doghouse, that's like our man cave, right? One of the rules I have there is we have hard conversations. If I could tell something's on your mind, I feel like the biggest mistakes we make as men is, we were kind of brought up in the old school. I'm not saying there's, we're taught to rub dirt on it. There's some good to that. But also, when you don't communicate about things, you know what I mean? Like, and you just shell up and you become a time bomb.
Shove it down.
That's
it's going to come out.
100%. So, man, I surround myself with people that I know are not afraid to have hard conversations. And if I see somebody enabling somebody, I'm weary around that person. And I may distance myself and create some boundaries between me and that person. So I make sure guys know in our circle, like, hold each other accountable. Don't enable each other. Put your stuff out on the table, because if you're dealing with something in your marriage, I might learn something and helping, and all of us getting together and trying to help each other. And we make sure we source things healthy too, right? I have a cousin that's really sought after Christian counselor and therapist. If we ever run into a dead end, we don't have the answer to something, I can call him, or my pastor's pretty good about picking up the phone and getting back to me if we had questions. But it's like, man, how much time have we wasted in our life trying to sugarcoat things and tell the pretty version of it, or not hurt somebody's feelings,
or just not face it at all, just ignore it or act like it didn't even happen, where you don't even address the situation.
And it's like, man, we put on this, a lot of us, I was one of these, put on this tough persona. I ain't scared of nothing. Hey, bro, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I'm afraid of. I'm a dad, bro. I got 3 reasons to be completely paranoid on a daily basis. And it's where faith's supposed to come in, and we're supposed to have a little more trust in that. But it's tough.
But even with faith, man, the deeper you get into your faith, it's like the more you get attacked. I mean, the more stuff comes at you as you start going to your couples counseling or your group meets with people, and you start doing your Bible study. There's a lot of crap that comes at you, man. It's like, it's not going to be easy. It's not an easy journey.
No,
it's not.
Craig Morgan, man. I don't know if you and Craig play. He's one of my favorite people on the planet, man. Just a solid human, and to be through what he's been through and still be that solid is just unbeknownst to me. But we were at hunting camp, and he led prayer, and he was really specific about the things that he asked for the group. And it was a wild prayer to me. Like, I loved it. And after, I was like, man, I really, really loved that prayer. And I forget how it came about, but he said, yeah. He said, I try to be, pray intentionally. And he said, I quit asking for patience. I said, why is that? He said, well, God kept giving me shit to be patient about.
They say don't pray for patience, man.
Yeah.
He will throw some shit at you, boy.
I was like, buddy, I just learned the lesson right there.
When you stopped drinking and just made that drastic life change, what was the preface that made you stop? What happened that set you on that path?
So it was the night that Countrywide went #1. And you got to know, leading into this, like, it was becoming a health thing. It was becoming a medical thing. Pancreatitis, my liver, kidneys were shot. I mean, I'm in my 20s, early 20s.
Yeah.
And so it got bad. It wasn't that I didn't know there was a problem. It was
Were you
Hey,
drinking
man.
hard liquor? I mean, whiskey.
Yeah, two liters a day every
yeah.
24 hours. Just
Jeez.
vodka
Yeah.
first part of the day, and then bourbon or Jaeger to end the day. And man, honestly, if you didn't know me well, you wouldn't have known I was tore up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it becomes a cruising altitude, and then we
It's
found this
almost
stuff
you have to
called
have it to level
Adderall.
out.
100%.
Yeah.
Then Adderall, you know, this stuff called. I figured out what Adderall was. It was like that's awesome.
Legal
And
speed,
Vyvanse was
You
like,
can
holy
drink
shit!
all day and all night.
Yeah, I can write songs for weeks. Man.
Yeah.
You know, then there were some other things that came in the mix, and it became like it wasn't just drinking; it became a host of things. So, Countrywide went number one. We were out on the road, and we were celebrating. You know, I got a cake and brought it in, and I was like, all right. Well, everybody told me, I was hearing from everybody, man, you really need to just take a moment and appreciate this. Smell the roses. And I'm terrible about that. And I don't do it anymore. But I went to the back of the bus, and it was supposed to be my moment to kind of soak it all in. And I cracked the window and looked out. And for whatever reason, I just looked at the table the cake was on, and I was like, man, you know, there are people that have gone broke and homeless and destroyed their lives and their marriages and their relationships for a chance to just to get on the radio, not to have the top song in the country. And we're doing the same shit we do every night. There's just a cake here tonight. And I was like, really? I kind of felt like I just had this thing of guilt. It was like, man, I'm taking all of this for granted. This is a God thing. I'm missing the entire blessing. I'm missing the point. And while I wasn't planning on being anybody's dad or anybody's husband, I still, you know, I was raised to prioritize being a good husband, good dad one day. So it was like, if that dude's in there anywhere, or I just felt like I owed it to myself and my mom and the people around me that loved and cared about me to, you know, hey, dude, get it out of your life for a minute and see what happens. If you go back down that road, it is what it is, but get out of your life and see if anything changes up here in here. And I called my manager, told him I needed a hole in my schedule, and I didn't have to tell him why he knew. And we got off tour, and I checked myself in December 18th, 2011. And I was shit can hammered. Buddy, we flew private home from that run, and I went in just tanked. And it was, the next 5 days were 5 of the most miserable days of my life. Man, I crawled to the shower and back to the bed in that room. I didn't get released from medical until like day 6 or day 7. And I left 11 days in to go on the Eric Church Blood, Sweat, and Beers tour. And I was still at risk for aftermath seizures and all that stuff, so I had to bring a guy out. But that was my first tour with my own bus. And man, it was one of the wildest things. Keith Urban, this is a very long story short, but I got called to the office, what I called it one day, because I wasn't going to a lot of the sessions. And mainly because, dude, I wasn't getting out of the bed. Like, I was miserable. And went up to the office, and Keith Urban was standing in there. And I saw him, and I was like, oh, shit, you know, trying to hide my head and didn't want him to see me. And he turned around and saw me. He goes, Bradley, can I talk to you for a minute? And I was like, God, I didn't want to talk to anybody, man, even Keith Urban. I just wanted to be miserable and do my time, you know. Bro, I had this facade in my head that Keith Urban was a Disney character.
He'd been through his shit too, bro.
Oh, my God.
Well, a whole bunch of it.
You know what I mean? Not to put his business in the street, but by the end of that conversation, I was like, he's not a Disney character. He's like, but he told me some stories that blew my mind about him and completely changed my perception. And he asked me, he was like, what are you afraid of? And, you know, I'm coming out of a chapter in my life where it's kind of muscle memory. Like, not afraid of nothing, dude. I run with bikers. Like, I'm not scared of anything. He said, no, really, what are you afraid of? And almost immediately, that's doing my job. I'm terrified to do my job. I don't remember what it's like to play a show sober. You know what I mean? It's like, the alcohol for me wasn't, man, I'm going to drink and have a good time tonight. I had a wreck shortly after high school, and it locked out. It hit my head pretty hard. And a lot of the songs I'd written before were what helped me remember a lot of things before the wreck. So to this day, like, I'll hear my buddies telling stories and I'll kind of recall a little bit of it. And I've heard enough stories now to where I can tell some of them, but it's really, really hazy. That being the case, I can tell you where I was, how old I was, what farm I was on, where on that farm I was, what I was drinking, and where we stole it from. I'll never forget, it was at Potts Farm. We stole Crown Royal out of Jeff and Kelly Potts' cupboard. I put it in a Gatorade bottle from football practice, and I had just jumped over a fence. We were going out in the pasture for something, and it kind of kicked in, and I was like, it stopped. So one of the things that I had such a hard time with as a kid was like my mind was 1,000,000 miles an hour. I couldn't stop it. If my train of thought ever went negative, it was just a freaking downhill road, man, to the point where it was debilitating at times, apparently. But I do remember that the rocks in my stomach went away.
Just from the alcohol.
100%. It was like, holy shit. So it worked. And from that moment until December 18th, 2011, I drank or used every time I got a chance. And when music became a full-time thing, we're our own boss. These people have been waiting on us for 2 weeks. They're partying. So we can be on their level and be all right.
And it's acceptable.
100%.
You got to be, you're the life of the party, baby.
100%. You take, an interview at 8 a.m. You got you a bottle of orange juice, a slap full of vodka. Who's going to tell you something different? You know what I mean? Like you said earlier, like, I'm going to do what the hell I want to do. So, man, years of that. It wasn't never man, I'm going to drink and have a good time. It was not just a coping mechanism. And yeah, it was self-destructive, but it was medicine, man. That junk worked.
I've always felt too, and my wife and I debated this for years, about what addiction is. And I've always believed that it's not overindulging in substances, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever it is. It's the reason behind it. Mm-hmm. What is the reason behind what's making you do that? And if you can't get down to the cause of it, then you can never get over it. Because I'm to the point now I can go out and I can have a glass of wine with dinner and I'm fine. Mm-hmm. I used to be, if I went out and had a drink, I was in it, son. Yeah. I was going to drink till I went down. Sometimes that might last for days at a time. But getting past the point where it's not like, I can go days without drinking. Don't have any issue with it at all. Before, I couldn't do that. And I don't think I'm in a place where I'm somebody that I have to say that I can never touch a drop of alcohol again. I'm indifferent to it these days. It's not that big a deal to me in my life, but it took me a long time to get there. 100%. But it's getting down to the root. And when I finally went through the process and I went to a treatment facility for a while, the one thing and I don't know what your process was, but the counselor, he put this big piece of white paper up on the wall and he drew a line right in the middle of it. And then we went back to my earliest memories and we started doing the positive and the negative impact of what that was. And we drew that whole map out all the way up to the current point of my life. Went back through those things of regression and pain and childhood trauma and all those things. And it was awful. Absolutely 100%. Freaking awful.
Nightmare.
But being able to get through that whole thing and start to put some things in perspective, as I'd gotten to a point in my life that I didn't even realize what I was running from anymore.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And they say too, like, there's a lot of research that shows, and they consider it now, it is a genetic disease.
Absolutely.
Right? And people say it skips a generation. The only generation it skips,
I liked it,
is the generation that saw the generation before them do something so traumatic that they went, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very few and far. There are other cases, obviously, but I would venture to say that 90% of the people, of the generations it skips, are just generations that didn't tap into it.
Yeah.
My papa was like that. His mom and dad were pretty rough. He brought beer home from work one time. He said he went to take a shower and come back and he's going to crack him open a cold beer. And he came back in the kitchen. My nana was pouring out the sink. Like, we're not doing that in this house. So her parents were rough. His parents were rough, and they just didn't do it. By the time it got to my dad, he liked it. And my brother and I both liked it. The problem was with me and my brother both, I had a little bit of a mean streak, so I wasn't really a good time drunk. I was one of those that
you like to stir it up.
Yeah. And that was the max of the night. Like it doesn't get any better than chasing a girl and then finding a fight. You know what I mean? Like it sounds crazy, especially 41 as a dad and a husband looking back on what? Like, that seemed like a good idea, but in the moment, like that was making memories, man. That was a Tuesday, but it being a genetic disease, right? And this is. So the song Jelly and I did together on this record, there's only one feature on it, and he's it. And that's because he was a writer on it, and the story he brought to the table was the premise for the whole song. He came into the writing room that day, and I could tell something was on his mind. We went outside to smoke, and I was like, dude, you good? And he was like, man, the craziest thing just happened. He said the label was doing something that morning or something, and as he was leaving to get in the car to come to the right, the homeless guy was there and turned around, and he recognized the guy. And it wasn't the fact that he recognized him that bothered him. It was that was the least likely kid in their school to be homeless.
Oh.
He was the cool kid. He got all the new stuff, like life of the party type dude. And that paired with something that I've said, since I've been in the recovery space is, dude, nobody wakes up one morning and goes, you know what? I think I want to be an alcoholic. Or I think I want to have an eating disorder. I think I want to, be a drug addict, or I want to be homeless, or I want to be rid with mental illness. Like, it's not the way that happens. Think about all the things in life, all these people that say they're this, that, and the other. Those things that I just listed are, to me, the true only things in life that are not biased in any way, form, or fashion. They don't care who you are, what tax bracket you're in, who your mom and daddy is, what color you are, what your sexual preference is. They just want you dead. 110%. And they want all of us dead.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've been in treatment with billionaires and I've been in treatment with homeless people. It doesn't care. So it's like, guys like you and I and Jelly, having a checkered past and having been through things like that, we do possess a unique ability to meet people where they're at and have conversations. I don't know about you, but when I was at my worst, my mom sent like a couple pastors, just family friends, to try to talk to me, to kind of level with me and talk some sense into me. Yeah. So, bro, you're not speaking my language. And even if you were, I'm not, like you said earlier, I'm not trying to hear it.
Till you want to get to the place where you're ready to change the pattern of behavior and figure out what is the root cause of why you're doing the things that you're doing, why you're being self-destructive.
100%. But if you have somebody that's, and I don't never tell anybody I know where they're at, because we're all as different as our fingerprints. And I feel like our addictions are the same, right? And it used to be offensive to me for somebody to come to me and be like, I know what you're going through. Like, buddy, you ain't got a clue, But coming from a place of not been there, done that, but hey, I went through something in my life that you may find relatable, man. And my testimony, Jelly's testimony, your those are powerful stories. And, just communicating with somebody that's in that place, we know how to speak that language. We recognize each other. I can walk in a room in 5 minutes and tell you if it's somebody that's dealt with serious trauma or substance abuse.
Yep. And it's the same way. I mean, people like us, we learn to read the room. I mean, when I was looking for anything, I'd go and tell you who had it in their pocket.
100%.
If I wanted, I could find anything I wanted.
You show me an addict, and I'll show you a really smart, a really deceiving freaking. We had backups for backups for backups. Oh, yeah. It's like, if we ain't got it, we're going to find it.
Dude, I had my first drink of alcohol when I was 12 years old, and I started drinking on a regular basis when I was 14 and smoking cigarettes. I mean, so it was just part of the culture. I grew up in a little small town. We started drinking and riding the gravel roads, before we even had a driver's license. I mean, that's just the way things were back there. It was part of the culture. Everybody did it.
Mm-hmm. That was 14 was when I was in the Potts Farm pasture. It was wild. We just did a podcast with John Christ, if you know him.
I know John. I love John, man.
He did a parody of the Dirt Road Anthem where he's like reliving the lyrics exactly. And the one I wrote with Colt. And, bro, it's like chilling on a dirt road, swerving like I'm George Jones, smoke rolling out the window, and ice cold beer sitting in the console. So he's like drinking going down the road. And it's this comedy thing, and it's hilarious. But what's not so funny, or maybe shouldn't be so funny, is that's exactly what that song is written about. Like, now I looked for a farm for 15 years in my hometown and finally found one, and it almost butts Tupac's farm. And man, if you take a right out of my driveway, a left at a stop sign, the next right is Dirt Road Anthem. And those are all the roads that I grew up.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, the first field I got drunk in, I could dang near see from the house. You know what I mean? But it's like, we were the same way. 14 years old, that happened, and figured out that it worked. It was off to the races. You know,
The difference between then and now, though, is that I remember, 16 years old, if we got pulled over and we had a 12-pack of beer, the cops would take it from you or pour it out on the side of the road.
Yep.
If you weren't drunk, they'd let you go. Nowadays, they're taking you to jail.
110%.
And there's no leniency. There's no gray area. The consequences are so much more tremendous now. There's no free pass. You don't get a get out of jail free card on any level these days.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah.
That's another thing. We look at this generation, it's like, y'all are, we think what we think about them. It's like, man, it was a different time. It was a different culture. We were different human beings.
The world's completely different now.
Oh my God.
It's just, the whole landscape of everything. It's so, everything is so divisive. People are so polarizing. We can't just disagree with each other. It has to be violence attached to it.
We can't have
have a conversation about things. And I try real hard with certain sectors of my friends. And I don't judge anybody for anything. I don't care how you live your life. Your path is your journey. I got my own demons and my shit that I'm dealing with. I think we should be able to communicate with each other and talk about the things and find the common ground, but also be able to disagree without things getting out of control. I just think it's just sad the state that we find ourselves in these days.
100%.
It's really sad, man.
And I do feel like, a lot of people that I respect and value their opinion, there are some like-minded people, but there are some people that are on the other side of some arguments.
Yeah.
Right? And everything is really, the temperature's so high. We may disagree about what color that is, and the next thing you know, it's right and left, and Republican and Democrat, and it's wild to me how politically charged everything is. In music, it used to be the one thing.
It used to be the great uniter, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever your nationality was, music brought us all together, man. I'd love to see us get back to that place.
You know what somebody got me on the other day was, I was sharing that music was always the thing that brought people together, regardless of we can agree to disagree, go to a show and enjoy the same music.
Yeah.
And then somebody hit us with the turning point thing, the Super Bowl thing. Yeah. And it was like, and asked me if I felt like that was divisive. And man, it's like, not intentionally. It felt patriotic to me. It felt like an opportunity to make sure we talked about the men and women that served this country, and I didn't know what was going on with the other show. I also didn't know we were competing. My kids got to watch 2 quarters of football and then see their dad play a show. Like, I'm an entertainer. That's what I get paid to do.
Yeah.
I signed up for it. I'm not going to back out on my word. And I'm a big, to this day, I believe Charlie Kirk was one of that dude was solid.
I agree.
You believe in the First Amendment, and you may disagree with his opinion or his points, but a man that has a platform that's willing to lay his mic down so you can give your side of an argument, even when he disagrees, like, you want to see the power of the First Amendment, see somebody go to war with words, and be willing to hear the other side of an argument. That's a pretty solid warrior.
Yeah, but certain aspects of the other side of that conversation are not willing to have an intellectual conversation about any topic. If they don't, if it's not exactly what they want or how they want things to be, then they get violent, and that's really sad to me.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I gotta say, there's certain things that I'm unwilling to hear. You know what I mean? I'm old school on some shit. When some people that look at things differently try to prove their point on something, like I try my best to listen, but if it's a hard point that I'm just solid on, it's really hard to change my mind too. But what I remember being different before all this started, I feel like COVID was one of the big things that was just like, completely split in device. It was, we at least had the ability to have a conversation, and we could look at things different and still be friends, or look at things different and still at least be in the same place and coexist. I don't remember it being so charged. That
You think it was that definitive of a line, COVID?
No,
There it was.
I do think that was a big factor though, because all of us, we got stuck at the house. I went nuts, man.
Oh,
I think
dude.
Rogan said, man, we lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them still haven't come back.
Yeah,
Just lost their minds.
yeah.
I've never felt anything as divisive as that. It was really, I think what shocked me the most is I kept thinking we were going to go back to work. I remember we had been out on the road with Justin Moore that first week of March in 2020. We had done Indianapolis. We went to Denver, and wasn't it Kansas City?
Somewhere
Was the
in
last
Kansas, I
something
think.
like the last one. And Justin and I were talking. I said we had ordered a bunch of hand sanitizer, and I said this thing's fixing to get bad, Justin. So we ordered all this stuff trying to get prepared. So, and I mean, as soon as we got back, they pulled the plug, and it's like I kept thinking we're going to go back to work next month. It's going to be a 2 or 3 week deal. We're going to go back to work, and then June came, and July came, and it's like crap, man. Then you realize that we're going to be in this for a while. I've never felt anything shut entertainment down. Entertainment's the one thing. People might not be able to afford the beer or the T-shirt, but the show was still going to go on.
We were recession proof.
We were at, and that was kind of the shocking thing to me because it took all that away. Every form of entertainment was off the table, and I've never experienced anything like that, and I hope we never do again in
Oh
our
God,
society.
I hope we don't either.
I'm not a big soccer fan, but I have enjoying so much watching all the social media about all these Europeans and people coming over from other countries, just of their experience with America and Buc-ee's and barbecue and just all the things, and seeing the 4th of July. And I don't know if you saw any of it, but that was amazing to me. I think they were so brainwashed by what the media and the world is telling them about America that they got a completely unexpected perspective that they didn't think they were going to get. It's been pretty amazing to see.
100%.
I think it showed just such a great reflection, and not just a little bit here and there. It was across the board with so many of them. Of course, there's still frustrating things. I don't think they were expecting the sales tax thing or tipping situation that they experienced. I think that kind of shocked people a little bit. There were some things that caught them off guard, but overall, I think they were pretty blown away by the entire experience, man.
Yeah, I don't, and this is not, I'm not saying this is a good thing, but social media is not I don't live there. It's dad and husband and being 90 miles an hour. And I told somebody this the other day. I was like, I just don't see a lot on there being good for the chapter of life I'm in. And my buddy was like, that may say more about your algorithm than social media. And I was like, damn, dog. Like, maybe so.
Have you seen the new AI stuff that's coming out with these animals where the hippo its defense mechanism is to sling shit?
Oh, yeah.
There was one that shit on a cheetah this morning. I was watching on the way in. I was watching it on Theo, man. So that's where my algorithm is.
I love you some Theo, man. Theo's funny.
So I don't scroll it. I will get through every few months. I'll do the TikTok thing. I'll log in and just see what's going on the music side of the things, and I do a little bit of pop culture just so I'm not completely under a rock. But man, I feel like, society as a whole is turned into a giant comment section, and there's no accountability. Like it was different. Like I was one of them that wasn't shared to scare my opinion or maybe give you a little hell, but back in the day, you'd get checked for that.
I don't share my opinion about a damn thing. As far as posting on social media, I don't do it. I mean, I don't, because it doesn't matter what you say, you're going to piss somebody off.
100%.
And I mean, I remember it was years ago, when TikTok first came out, I was like, I'm going to try this. I think the first week that I was on TikTok, I got in like a dozen fights with people. It was probably 12-year-olds in their mama's basement. And I would get pissed off and just go into these big battles. It's like, I am not doing this. I am not doing this. This is ridiculous.
Well, I started looking at them now. Every now and then we put something out. Like I go through the comment section, and I went through when it was newer to me. Like I kind of get offended by it, but now you can't.
No.
It is a competition of who can say the craziest shit.
And
so,
if you feed it, it just gets worse.
Oh, bro, there was a video of me not too long ago, and the comment somebody sent me, and I didn't scroll through this and find it. One of my buddies sent it to me, and it said it was a video of me, and the comment was like, this dude is what was it? He's a living and breathing affliction show. It's like,
I'm not laughing.
That got me, bro. I mean, I was around when that was a thing. It was like, but bro, I mean, you
I
gotta
think
give
I
credit
still
where
got some
credit's due.
affliction hanging in the closet
I threw
somewhere.
some away the other day. I was still in the closet, I swear to God.
Dude, that kid pop fell out. It's like, no, that's
I think
fair
the
enough.
best segment was it Jimmy Kimmel or somebody did the mean tweets? Like he was way ahead of it, and people finally just started to have fun to like
Yeah.
read like the bullshit about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On it for sure.
Oh, it's a trip, man. Like, here's the thing: as a dad, a husband, I take myself seriously. But outside of that, bro, if you can't take constructive criticism or comedic criticism, this is
Get
the
over yourself.
wrong,
Yeah.
wrong era to live in. You know what I mean? You can't bother me with a whole lot. Now, you mess with my wife or my youngins, we're gonna talk. But outside of that, man, you can pretty much say what you want to me. Don't spit at me or swing at me, and you're good.
You ever had any problems with some crazy fans? I got a few of them over the years, man. Have you ever had any issues with them?
Oh yeah, we had one from Texas, man. So I had a phone in my house, but it was only plugged up to the gate. So I got a call one day. It was super weird, and we had been watching somebody on social media. Like every now and then, if somebody starts posting some weird stuff, like kind of put them on a list and monitor them. I don't. They do.
Yeah.
So simultaneous, there's somebody's posting some just really long rants, really random stuff. Couldn't really make sense of a lot of it. We didn't pay it much attention until they said some stuff about biker world that kind of caught my attention a little bit because I was running in those circles a little bit. And that was a little weird. And when we put the two together, it got a little freaky. So I answered the gate phone when they was never rang. And, I acted like my brother because immediately this chick was just different. And, so if his brother, I need you to tell him that the lady at the well needs to speak to him. Is that the other? I was like, ma'am, as his brother, I can tell you he's not going to be real susceptible to that. Like he's engaged. He's, well, he'll know who I am, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, this is creepy, bro. So I said, listen, ma'am, I'm going to speak for my brother and say that if you call here again, I'm going to have to contact an attorney or, don't call us. And how did you get this number? That's not important. Click. All right. Well, 2 weeks later, gate phone rings again. It's her. And before she started talking, I said, ma'am, let me explain something to you. Like, I'm going to have to turn this number over and have somebody contact you. Because, by this point, we knew who it was. The online, we had matched them up. We knew who she was. And it was some pretty wild shit. And she said, don't hang up. Just come out here. Tell him to come out here. I was like, and we knew she was from Texas. And I was like, what do you mean come out here? And I looked out of the window where I could see the gate, and she's sitting out there. Well, the passenger door was open, and a lot of stuff she'd posted had a dude with her. So, I get my stuff that I carry to protect my home and my kids. I don't know who's with her. I don't know what she's capable of. My wife is on the way home. We were engaged at the time. Her mom lives 3 minutes away. So I call her on my cell phone, and I still got this chick's on the home phone just rambling on about Jesus and this, that, and the other, and we're supposed to be together and all this kind of crazy stuff, and told my wife not to come home. Of course, she's hard-headed, and she was didn't like the idea of, hey, there's a girl here, don't come home. She was like, wait, what?
I'm right there.
Home. No. This is different. This bitch is wild. Like don't come home. So I called the sheriff, and the sheriff was like, where's she at? I was like, well, she's in between two dots behind one. And she's like, wrong answer. So she said, we got people headed that way. And because obviously not going to shoot anybody unless you absolutely have to. But if my wife pulls up and you attack my wife, and there's somebody with you, and they attempt to harm somebody in my family, bro, I'm going to protect my family by any means necessary. So she hears the cops coming and backs out, drives through the ditch, takes off, and there's a little road that was to the left of her old house that had a big old embankment on it. And she turned right through it and went down in the ditch. And the cop went down and got to her car and pulled her out. And she was like, sir, and this is why he's trying to get her in cuffs. She ain't liking it. And she was like, sir, have you ever met Jesus? You know Jesus? And he said, ma'am, I know him as my personal Lord and Savior, but I've never shook hands with the man. She said, well, I did in Mississippi. He told me I was he told me I was headed in the right direction. He said, well, ma'am, if you're headed to Jackson County Jail, he was exactly right, you know. And bro, it was wild. I had to call Aldine because while she was in the county jail, like nobody came and got her. So she was down there forever, and she got off of me because I guess I didn't bail her out. So we were over. You know, she ended things with us.
Done with your ass.
Yeah. So she started, like my cousin, she didn't know it. My cousin was a deputy working in the jail, and she started going wild about Jason. So I had to call Aldine, send him a picture and be like, hey, watch out for this one. She's Wildcat now. Like, she's something else. But yeah, stuff like that. It's a lot. It doesn't happen as much now. But one of the craziest one, man, is we were in Atlantic City and there was this couple. I remember it snowing, like super cold. This couple and a kid just sitting on the sidewalk out in front of the bus. And I felt so bad for them and like went out there, sent Corey. I was like, hey, if there's something, if they want me to sign something or whatever. So they brought some stuff to sign or whatever. I signed it, sent it back to them. Well, after the show, I figured they'd come in the show. They didn't. So after the show, I get on the bus, take a shower, come out, and they're still on the sidewalk. And I was like, man, we got to figure out what's going on. Just bring them up on the bus for a minute. They at least got to warm up. Bro, when this woman sees me, she like freaks out. And she starts telling me what's going on. And as she does, the husband and the kid break down crying. And basically she said that God had told her that she was supposed to be with me, like come live with me the whole nine. The bags that she was holding was her shit.
Yeah.
She was moving in.
Yeah.
Bro, the husband, I was like, ma'am, and this is when Amber's in the picture. I'm engaged. Like, this isn't, I think you know, I'm not one to preach on faith, but I think there may be some misunderstanding here. And I asked her, I said, is this your brother? She said, no, that's my husband.
How's he allowed this to go on?
What? And I was like, bro, do you hear what's going on right now? You're cool with this? Man, I love my wife, but who am I to get in God's way? And I was like, whoa. And the son, I thought it was like like a little nephew or something. It was their kid. So literally the dad and the kid came to drop the mom off to go back to Georgia from Atlantic City. And it was like, man,
Poor
you
kid.
know,
But dude,
that's some wild stuff.
I had one. I've had a couple here recently, and one is probably last year. She showed up. My wife was on the lawnmower. She was outside. I was on the road. I wasn't even home. And the woman rang the gate. My wife had her phone with her, so she answered it. And the woman was demanding to be let in, that she was coming to save me, that my wife was holding me hostage in the house, and she was coming to save me.
Come on.
Oh, and then I had another one show up. This was pretty recently. And showed up at 3:30 in the morning. I'm on the road, wakes my wife at the middle of the morning, demanding to be let in. My wife finally hung up on her. She destroyed my call box. I just put a brand new call box in on the gate. She took a knife and carved up the lens, broke the whole call box, had to replace all that. Mark Wills called me last week. This is another one. I want to get this out there so people can think about this. This woman has been a fan of Mark since he was playing the buckboard in Marietta, Georgia, years ago.
Yeah.
Somebody was posing as me and got her for $61,000. She came to a show recently, and I brought her on the bus and visited with her. Posing as me, they had scammed her for $60-something thousand, man. We don't need your money, people. Don't let people do this to you.
Yeah, it actually happened to somebody I was acquainted with that thought I'd reached out. I was trying to do something I didn't want my manager to know about, trying to put somebody through treatment.
Crazy.
Right? And she gave him like 20 grand. Her and her husband are not, they're not secure like that. Like it was really her going out on a limb, knowing that I'd pay her back, as soon as it was common knowledge that this person was in treatment or whatever. Bro, I literally told her, and for anybody that's listening, bro, if somebody asks you for money, it's an entertainer. It's not us.
It's not us.
It's
We don't
not
need your
us.
money.
No.
Don't do that.
No. Do
Do
not
not.
send people on social media your money or your information.
All right, so Sin to the Father is out as of now when this is going to air. So Sin to the Father is out, and the single Good Damn, big freaking debut when that thing came out. Y'all had 90 something ads out of the box. That's pretty badass,
It was
man.
my second biggest ad day next to Bottoms Up, and that was 13 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's pretty neat.
That's awesome. The tour that you're on, a Real American Tour, is that you're going all the way through the fall? When do you shut down?
End of November.
Yeah.
We'll try to get some hunting done in December and January. I don't even have a hunt on the books right now. It's just it's my first time being on a new label, man. I've been on the same label for 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, and so man, it's been a whole transition, but it's been an awesome one. It's been I'm the shiny new toy for the first time in 15 years.
How was that rolling over, man? That's a big change going to a new label. And the couple of times that I did it, I mean, there's so many things that you need to know to navigate those waters about, you know, making sure the promotion staff is involved in the album process and all the things that go into it, man. If you just come in and you do things like you did them before and you don't have those relationships and that foundation laid, they don't work as hard for you. So you got to go through that whole setup process again.
Yeah, this was, you know, some people might look at it and say this is crazy, but we worked it in 12 hours. I wanted to have my integrity when I left that other place. Regardless of how that was over there, there's people over there that I love and care about and will till the day I die.
Yeah.
I'll only shit talk one person over there, and I only do that directly to them. But it was, you know, it was one of those things where, man, with Aldine cutting those two songs early on, a lot of the people that were at Valerie when I signed there were at BMG.
Yeah.
Now in Wheelhouse. Blake just had gone over and had an instant success with that hit. So somebody who had an established career and, you know, kind of ran into a spot where radio went there and was successful, extremely successful early.
Yeah.
Jelly was over there. Aldine was over there. Man, it really felt like home before it was. And I knew where I wanted to go. So I was a free agent for 12 hours, and we signed on stage in Franklin. And the next morning, I turned in 100 songs.
You were loaded and ready to go.
100%. And it was like, man, I got to get to work. Like, you know, as far as deal points between us and them, it was like, I know what the score is. I'm not going to ask for anything outlandish. Like, it's a very reasonable deal on both sides. You know, one of the things in my career that I learned was, man, contracts can get to where they look really good on paper. And we had one of the best deals on paper, you know, in town comparatively. What I found is, man, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this happen. You can contract yourself out of incentive on their part. You know what I mean? You get to a point where they don't have your hand in the pocket, and they don't have their hand in your pocket enough to incentivize them and motivate them or to give you any jump balls. You know, if you've negotiated yourself out of incentive and you and two other people are going for a spot at radio, who do you think's getting it? You know what I mean? So it was like, I wanted to go in realistic. I wanted my master's back soon, which is a cool thing. So what we went in asking for wasn't outlandish. What they came back with wasn't outlandish. And we kind of knew from knowing people there what deals look like. So man, they had it going on at radio, and we need that. You know, we've been able to sustain touring for many years, in spite of not having but 7 number ones.
Yeah, but we're in a different day and age now. I know that still is a key factor to all of it, but you have so many other tools at your disposal that we didn't have 20 years ago. So, you know, you can still navigate those waters, but radio's still king, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. And, you know, they're still invested in it there, which
it's
I
still
really
a
like.
business of relationships too, man. Once you get that contract done, whatever's in there, you get it done, and it goes back in the door. You still got to have relationships with all those people.
100%.
That's what it's all about.
What's the standard length that they own Masters? It's been a long time since I
See,
graduated from MTSU.
it's changed. The
thinking it's
deals are
25
different now
years
than they
or
were. I
something,
still don't have my master's back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. So we didn't know to negotiate them back. earlier. Like when I negotiated my first contract, that really wasn't much of a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
that's changed in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah. They have now, it's not just catalog sales. You do like revenue stream sales and things like that. You still maintain some
That
ownership.
was just coming out when I was about to I graduated in 2011, so Spotify and all that was really taking off right around there, maybe a little before that. It's wild stuff. I remember copyright was like life plus 70 of the artist, but then I don't remember hardly.
I don't know if you ever did. I remember my first deal, man. I think I was getting paid 79 cents off of. I wasn't even getting paid a percentage off of a full dollar. I was getting a piece. Plus, I had a control composition clause. Anything that I cut, they took 33 1/3% of it off the top. If I recorded anything that I wrote, the control composition kicked in. So there was a whole lot of things like that I had no idea about when I signed that early deal. Man, they cleaned my clock, boy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. But back then, and even when I first came to the table, it was like, still, if somebody got a record deal, that was a huge deal.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Now, not so much. You got 5 guys that are in a similar lane, you know, between all the big labels, they signed all of them. If somebody's got a chink in their armor or a weak link in the chain, you set them on a shelf to collect dust for 5
And
years.
sometimes a label will sign somebody just to get them out of the way.
110%.
Shelve your ass. I've seen it happen to some good, talented people.
The
And the
360 deal was
recoupable
just
thing.
coming out when I was starting to learn. Is that still a thing? 360? Where
Well,
they
hell
take
yeah. I
portion
mean, and
merch and all that?
it really had to be, because you look like a lot of the distribution things on you know, years ago when things were physical albums, like that was a big percentage, but it was warranted, right? Like now that everything's digital, it's just a different package altogether. But what I hate is they get these kids in here and like, hey, I'm gonna give you $1 million.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on a tour bus. You know, I'm gonna put you out here on the road. What they don't tell you is that tour bus is $35,000
And
a
you're
month.
paying for all of it. They ain't giving that to you out of the goodness of their heart.
100%. Now, at least it's interest free.
But you're still paying for it.
But 100% it's a loan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they're going to
I-
get their money first.
Yeah, and I feel like it's designed, right, to have leverage over you to control whether or not you take the next step in your career.
Absolutely.
And that's sad to me. I don't like that.
I saw one they were still accounting for breakage on digital sales. Like breakage of your CD cases, the jewel cases back in the day. They still was
I haven't
charging
seen
them for
that.
breakage.
Really?
Yeah, well, that was when this was right around the time I graduated. So again, this was like 2011.
That's
so
slick.
Surely
Boy,
some lawyer has
it's-
finagled
I
that
mean,
out of the
but
contract. now.
in 15 years,
That's
man, the
crazy.
landscape is completely different
Yeah.
out there. It's not the same world that we're
Do you know what hadn't changed? Even the suits that hate each other speak on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You know who doesn't speak to each other contractually? Artists.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why we're getting fucked left and right. We're not educating each other.
Yeah.
And granted, you may have signed an NDA or whatever, but what's it going to hurt? You know, we have to do feel like we screw ourselves over with ego sometimes. Because, man, what if I show you my deal and yours is better than mine?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to be upset. You know, who gives a shit? Like,
Dude, John Rich and I talked, casually at one point years ago about the possibility of putting a group of artists together and building our own imprint where we had a collective kind of thing where we had 4 or 5 acts together and we built our own label with our own promotion staff and everything and kind of came at it from that angle. I still think there's something in that concept.
for sure, if there be somebody willing to do it and really just do it for a tiny amount of profit, almost a break-even thing, just to reset the standard a little bit, it'd be really cool. But you know what also
but the
has
problem
changed?
is getting all those egos in the same place trying to work together. That's where it falls
That
apart.
and too, these people that talk on a daily basis and these people that have held leverage in this business for so long, they've put themselves in authoritative positions to where they can gatekeep to a certain extent. Like there are limits to independence.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you talk to these guys. I have so much respect for guys that do this independently. Man, it's a wild concept, but I do feel like we came up. I didn't hire just to hire. I hired on a need basis, right? Like when I got to a point where the first year I showed income, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. Like I need a business manager ASAP. And the booking agent was when I literally got to the point where I couldn't keep up with it myself anymore. And I had a business manager before I had a manager. But it was like, you know, I do feel like these guys that have been influential in this town and in this genre for years, they've got the assets and the capital to be able to stay.
Hey, as a business person, I understand why they do what they do.
100%.
It's they've got the business model down.
100%.
Brother, we could do this for another hour, and I hope we can sit down again real soon and do
Let's
this.
go, man.
Because I could talk to you all freaking day.
Absolutely, you
It's
too.
just, I appreciate your friendship, man. I hope this album just blows the doors off of it for you. I hope the rest of your year is absolutely freaking awesome. Take care of your wife and them babies, brother.
Well,
Always great
sure
to see you,
will,
my
man.
friend.
Love and respect, my friend. Good to see you.
Brantley Gilbert, everybody.
Praise the Lord.